I'm Sthembiso Nkalanga. I'm from Mpumalanga. I was born and raised there. Then after my matric, I moved to Limpopo, where I did my undergraduate at the University of Venda. I did BCom Economics. I completed, and then I went on to do my honors at the University of Limpopo. After that, I then started job hunting. And in a subject that is particularly close to sort of this program that we're talking about, this lack of information made me to do a whole lot of mistakes in the process. Our work is sort of data dependent. So if there is a huge data that is coming out, for example, GDP release, my role will mean that I have to write a few research reports. We call them reaction notes. Based on the numbers that we have, and mostly then it's all about telling clients what the number means in terms of policy and in terms of the forecast, like the future for the country. And my day starts with a morning meeting where I give a set of analysis of what to expect for the day and why, or if we have a key publication the day before. And along that, after that, you get to start to speak to clients on Bloomberg. Clients always have, interesting questions, which is the part of my job that I like the most, because they keep you on your toes, ask important questions. There's always that, some of the things is you least like them, but obviously you always have to take them by the horn, So the least I like about my job is the fact that is, one, a fast-paced environment, and you always have to be on your toes, because clients literally comes with questions that sometimes goes beyond just economics, Like I said, I cover politics, and that's something I never did at school. But because you have clients that probes and ask you these questions, you have to be versatile in terms of the subject, like jumping out of your comfort zone and doing things that that you're not comfortable with. But because we have a proper structure, that makes it easier, as much as I hate like jumping out of my stream economics and then doing politics and all of those things. But it's something that gets me excited at the end of the day, because you learn to know the other part of the world that you never thought to know. Doing analysis, doing data analysis, I just love data. One thing, once you sit with data and start torturing it, you get into into a zone where nobody has ever ventured, and then that's where most of the ideas gets generated. I've always done economics, unfortunately, or fortunately. I did micro and micro, those are the basic economic subjects, and then I did econometrics and mathematics, But I feel like it is more econometrics and mathematics that made us today, because it's all about quants, like I said, and that's part of the reason why I fell in love with data science. That was the same thing for my honors. For my honors, it was just, a follow-up to what I did undergraduate. And then for my master's, it's different, all like ball game together, because I'm studying in an international university where the standard is quite high, but it's also an advanced level of what I did for my honors and my undergraduate. But yeah, apart from economics, there is nothing much that I did. I've always done economics in my life. One is the communication part. There is no much emphasis in terms of the communication skills. I know we get to do it in the first level, or if you're lucky, you do it second level. Otherwise, you're gonna be speaking your module or your subject-specific English. And once you get into a labor, like in the labor market, it becomes quite important that these skills of communicating and writing, you have it, and it's soft and sharp and it's polished. Because like I said, once you open your mouth, you really tell us what you know, and you tell us who you are. So the one thing that really explains who I am and what I do is 1, determination, 2, and discipline. And 3, I always tell myself and my motto that you do what you can when you can and make the best of it. I really never bothered about who comes from where. And part of the reason was I always put effort to everything that I have to do. The advice that I always give people is that give all you can and your energy to your studies. Make sure you get good marks. Of course, good marks are not everything because companies sometimes hire people before they can look at. But what lands at the recruiter's desk is your academic record and your CV. But there was always that element of saying, I'm coming from a lower rank university. I remember vividly in my second year, I wanted to change to go to another university because I felt like I was good. But I was lucky to meet someone who told me the principles that I embody today, that just do what you can with this and then it will take you anywhere. And I did whatever I had to do, and like I said, I got my cum laude for my honors. And that's when I really felt like I really stand out for myself. I don't care who comes from where and all of that, as long as we can sit down. Economics is just economics. It doesn't matter where you learned it from. It might be that you learn from an advanced level, but I always trust myself that even if you are one step ahead of me, you know something, there's a possibility that I will also know the same thing, because one, I'm really fond of reading. I even still read today. I have, apart from my master's, I have a couple of courses that I register from online from the IMF and edX. That the only purpose for that is for me to keep sharpening my skills and until I get to the level where I want to be. So it's all about working on myself, for myself, and not really where the other person comes from and all of that. And that really was reflected to how I got the position where I am now, because I can tell you I was competing with people from the top university and even international. But what my boss always tell me, that I was struck about your determination and discipline, and you still embody that even today. You have never let go. I always find the debate between Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi interesting. The one is natural, the one is a product of hard work. So it's all about, Ronaldo saying, I want to be at this point at some point in life. Then you have to work twice as hard, and the dude is doing that. And today, we're going to look back at some point and say we were lucky to be alive in the era when they were alive, right? The entertainers. So that's the thing. So part of the reason why I had to do my master's, I realized that there's a gap between where I want to be and where I am. Then I asked my boss that, can I register for a master's? They were like, sure, we're even going to fund that. And then they did, and they're doing. And, so I feel like once you stop learning, that's where you assume your slow, gradual way to death. Especially in this environment where people can draw terms on literally anything and any day. Stagflation, inflation, soft landing, hard landing. If you don't know that, there's only one way. You can't sit down and say, I don't know. So it is the dynamic nature of the environment in asset management that makes you feel like, or makes it necessitate that you continue to learn, like literally every day. It doesn't have to be, sometimes it doesn't have to be about your job. It can also be learning about your areas of particular interest outside your job. You just need to keep learning and upskilling yourself. Immediately is to finish my master's. I'm still not sure whether to do PhD or CFA, but that's one. But I still want to grow within the corporate ladder. If you look at the hierarchy, you move from associate to go to VP, and that's where my eyes are now. Yeah, so I think it's also, boils to everything that I've said, and also, trying to make sure that you don't renege on the promises that you made in terms of upskilling yourself and all of that. And I know once I finish my master's, because it has subjects that are more of what we do just in an advanced level. So once I get that through, I feel like I will be sharp and ready for that. And to be honest, since I've started the master's degree, I've sort of tapped into another level of potential that I really didn't know I can be able to. Luckily, I always ask them what really intrigued you in terms of what they... So the one thing for sure is I was prepared, and the questions that we asked were more like economic specific and in an application scenario way that, you know, they are asking you to apply your mind in terms of the real life questions. And I was at a point where I was learning constantly. Part of the reason why I even got this interview for this job was because of determination, and I was learning. I was sort of intrigued but by what my senior colleagues were sort of doing. So if I remember correctly, there was an Africa economist at the National Treasury, and that lady, she was a lady, she left. And then I was browsing her old files and at some point, and then I found that they were all interesting. I started reading. And then I asked my boss, this is so interesting, can I take it up and then like brush it up and start writing again? She was like, yeah, fine. Only to find that 2 months down the line, JP Morgan is looking for a young person who is interested in Africa. And I was the only one who was interested in Africa. I had applied for that job, and when in a conversation somewhere, I think my boss mentioned that like I have someone who is so intrigued, like he's so interested in these things. And then it came to the fore that obviously there is a position for that, and then they checked, they found that I've applied for that position, and then they called me for interview, 6 interviews. While you're still waiting for that job, learn on your communication, guys. Like, try to upskill yourself on that element, and also do your research. And some people once they start looking for a job, they get desperate in a sense that they just apply, and then you don't even check the background for the companies and all of that. I'm guilty of that as well. At some point, I got an interview for another firm. I couldn't remember which firm it was, and they called me out of the blue. I was working there in the streets of Joburg. Then they asked me, okay, we got your CV. What do you know about the company? I honestly did not know. Like, I honestly did not know. And that was an eye-opener to me to say, like, when you apply, also do some background research on these companies. Don't just apply for the sake of applying. I know it gets frustrating, it gets difficult, but it is the process, through the process of challenge and pain. It is that very same process that sort of grow you and make you aware of the path that you're trying to walk. Seek information. So I always feel like I would have been 4 steps ahead of life if I had information. When I was doing my undergrad, it was only about, you know, the academia aspects of life, and you start to vision your life after academia as being what you are, you know, starting to project on it. And I so wish we had platforms like this now, where people publish something about professionals, and then we get to read and what they do and how do they how they go about getting there, right? I never had that, and that is because information was scarce, or could be ignorant, I don't know. But at this age, information is widely out there. You always just have to sift through based on what you want, what your goal is, and what you want to achieve. with one, you need to discipline yourself in terms of your timing and targets and goals for each and every day, because you can easily stay at work until 11, 12. But I drew a map for myself to say, after 6, I'm not working. I need to get home, I need to prepare, I need to start studying. So for me, it's all about transitioning from work to school every day, from work to school on weekends, from work to school. But obviously with the proper, calendar and timekeeping, you are able to free yourself some space to go out there and enjoy yourself.